Hello, welcome to Night's Arcade. I'm Sleepless Night, and today we're going to attempt to build Talmberg Castle in Tiny Glade. It's been quite a while since I've done this, so since returning to the arcade, you know, I've done a couple of interviews, I've got a whole bunch of interviews lined up, I've got a load of other videos sort of lined up to do, but I'm also working on 2 or 3 other channels on actually building 2 or 3 other YouTube channels at the moment which do different things. You know, I'll let you know more about that when the time comes. But today, we're going to build Talmberg Castle in Tiny Glade because, you know, there's not a lot. I haven't got any Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 content for you at the moment. I think I'm going to stream KCD, probably. I'm going to do an Achievement Hunter stream in the next couple of weeks. But for now, we need to start by getting rid of this stuff. So this is that if you haven't seen Tiny Glade, this is a Tiny Glade demo. This is, you know, the full game here. You see the square there. This is the game you're going to be able to, this is the area you're going to be able to use once Tiny Glade releases, which I believe the full release is going to be in September. But if you haven't tried this game, it's probably one of the most addictive, fun little building games that you're ever likely to play. I love Townscaper, but this is kind of next level. You'll see that as you know as we go along. So we're gonna now. You'll notice here. See, a lot of these things are locked, particularly in the colours. Look, when you colour things. I mean, well, there's nothing to colour at the moment, but look, if I just put this there, right? And let's say we want to colour the wall. So we want to colour the wall. See, at the moment, all of these are locked. Right, you've only got 3 little options. So a couple of these things that are locked out are going to make it a little bit difficult for us to build Talmberg Castle exactly correctly. So we're not, particularly what is limiting is the space. And the fact that, if you look at this, let's undo all of that. Oh, wait, I can actually, probably quicker if I just undo everything I've made there. I think I was just playing around with different things. Boosh, 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 boosh. There we go. Haha, what do you think of that, sheep? What does the sheep think? That's what the sheep thinks. Right. Yeah, you can pet the sheep in Tiny Glade. You can't pet the butterflies or swat them or whatever, but you can pet the sheep. So one of the things that makes this kind of restrictive is that the demo area is quite small, and a lot of the functionality is sort of currently locked out. When we go into the full game, on the full launch, the possibilities for this game, if I can dig them out, I'll dig out my Tiny Glade press kit and I'll put out some of the screenshots that they show you. Hopefully, things that you'll be able to do in the full version. But for now, we're going to have to get quite creative, and we're going to have to squeeze it into a small space. So the first thing I'm going to do is the time of day, which is here. So let's turn the time of day off for the time being. Right, because the time of day does transition, and it's really great when you've got little lanterns and things. That makes it really, really great. You know, we can change the angle of the sun. So we've got our area here in full sunlight, right? So then, what you do in Tiny Glade, so there are a couple of things that are going to be restrictive for us while building Talmberg. Oh, that's the, sorry, there. So one of the things is that Talmberg Castle is surrounded by a wall, right, which kind of curves at the front and then goes across, and then it curves, and then it curves a little bit around this corner, and then goes back. And then there's, on one corner, there's kind of a little nick in, like that, right, and then it goes straight across at a right angle to the other corner. Now, that has actually filled up the majority of that space, but we're going to do that a little bit better. So let's erase that. So one of the other things is that Talmberg Castle, if you look at Talmberg Castle, not only is it sitting on top of rocks, but it's actually the land around on the inside of the wall, the castle wall, kind of raises in areas. So between you and me, I have tried this. So here's your terrain tool, right? So we're going to do that. And we can kind of... there goes the sheep, parachuting. Now, if we click here, we can kind of raise the terrain. Scrunch. We can lower the terrain, or if we go side to side, we can kind of smooth it out a bit, or steepen it. So we smooth it out to a nice sort of round, hilly area, or we can make the whole area steeper. What we're going to do is we're going to raise this to about here. Now, because of the restriction on land, I won't be able to put in the drawbridge. That and the fact that there's no such thing as a drawbridge in this demo version of the game. There's no drawbridge in there. I would be able to build a stone bridge. There are ways to do that, and again, I'll do that a bit later, and I'll drop a piece of video of me drawing a stone bridge, but we're not going to do that at the moment. What we're going to do is we're going to try to sort of work out, you know, freehand, for the most part, we're going to try to sort of work out where the best place is going to be. So what I'm going to do, to make the wall as straight as possible on one side and to fill every single inch of the available space we can within the restrictions of what Talmberg Castle looks like, we're going to click here, and rather than drawing freehand like this, right, which, you know, I exaggerated the wobbliness of that, I could have made it straighter, but if we just get rid of that, what you can do instead is if you click and sort of drag a little bit of wall out, and then you move down with the keyboard, and then you kind of give it a bit of a wobble there. It makes it perfectly straight, and then we want to go around this corner a bit like that, because it's a bit rounded, and then we can do the same thing. Oops, he says. So let's position ourselves over the top of it a bit. We can do the same thing going sideways. That's a bit crooked, really, but we can kind of fix that later if we need to. Oops. Oh, no. Oh, no, no. Oh, no. No, see? Look what I've done now. It all went wrong there, you see? So I've already built, between you and me, I've already built Talmberg Castle once, but I tried it one way, and it didn't... Yes, it sort of worked, but not 100%. So what I did, if I can just show you a second, what I did before is where the land raises inside the castle walls, because it's a sort of path, it's a rough path area inside the walls of Talmberg Castle and not a paved area. What I tried to do was I tried to make a different sort of raised area of land here, and that wasn't sufficient. So then I pulled that up a bit and made a second area slightly less raised there, and then I drew all the stuff on top of it. But that didn't really work because of the way that Tiny Glade places buildings. What it made it difficult to do was put the little steps, because if you look at the raised area here, right, if you draw a path through this raised area, it will make sort of stone steps, right? Okay? Boosh. There you go. Some sort of stone steps, right? Now, if you make it wider, they become more like steps, right? But the problem is that we have so little space to work with that the path around the castle is going to be extremely narrow. And if you use the super narrow path, do you see? Now, you can kind of make a step if you... there, but you've got to sort of widen it out. And the problem is, you'll see as we start building, that creates other problems with walls, because if you draw a path through a wall, look what happens. There you go. So when you're going up against the wall, you've got to be really careful, right? You can't get too wide, because if you do, that happens, right? Okay? Also, when you're placing buildings, right, if you want to make, like, a step... See, I can use the thin path, and all I've got to do is draw a straight line. Let's get rid of those flowers. Draw a tiny little thin straight line, right? And it just... one straight line. I haven't got to deviate. And it automatically puts the steps in. So the steps around the castle where it goes up to higher land will have to use paved areas, because as you can see, when we've got this raised land section, and we try doing this, with the thinnest path, it doesn't work. You have to kind of go out to the sides a bit, and even then, it looks a bit kind of ropey. So, let's get rid of all of that. And let's continue trying to build our wall around Talmberg Castle, and what we'll try to do is we'll try to make the whole area a little bit more. We'll try to create the levels around the walls using buildings and slabs, like I just showed you there, rather than with terrain, because it doesn't work super well. Okay, now. No, I could have done that better. We could have handled that better. Right, so what we're going to do now, let's see how much room we get if I go... Now with walls, what a lot of people who've just started playing this might not know, with the walls you can just, you can raise them up and down, you can put a path through and create the little archway thing there, right? But what a lot of people don't know is if you right-click on a wall, you get a little pair of scissors. And then you can delete this. You can delete individual sections, which is really good. That's one of the really good ways sort of creating realistic-looking ruins. That doesn't look straight anyway, does it? It looks completely cockeyed. Oh no, I did the whole thing. Should have split it with this. It continued that wall, which it shouldn't have done, so... Or I shouldn't have done, I should say. So let's do that. And then delete that. Hey, sheep. Don't come over here. It's not going to end well for you if you come over here. We're going to need a feast when this castle's complete. Don't make it lamb chops. Get out! Straighten that out a little bit. Start pulling that out. And then we'll go this way. And then once you get to the other side, you just got to sort of waggle it a bit. And then... There we go. We got more sort of up to the edge that time. Okay, so that's utilised a little bit more of the space. And let's go all the way to top again. There we go. And then we've got this little sort of nick there. And we might have to put a nick on the other side, really, because oopsie. Didn't want to do that. Let's just delete. Okay, let's... Yeah, I think we're going to have to put one on the other side. Which is not, ideal, but... I think it's the best we're going to get. See, really, that's almost a right angle there, and it's more of a nick there, which is the opposite way round than it is on Talmberg Castle, but... Since it's just the castle wall that's in there, it's not going to make too much difference. Right, so now, what we're going to have to try to do now is create the different sort of, the different levels, right? So what we're going to do here, first of all, is Talmberg Castle gate kind of goes, it's slightly off to one side at the front, right? So there we're going to go. We're going to create that there. There we go, like that. Right, so that's your sort of drawbridge area, but what we're going to have to do is put a building about here, right? For the gatehouse, the little covered wooden gatehouse. And of course, as yet, we can't make things out of wood in Tiny Glade. Presumably, we will be able to at some point. I can't see them ignoring that. But yeah, we can't make the surfaces wood. They're just different kinds of painted walls. So like, what we're going to do when this is all up and running is we're going to make this more like sort of rendered wall, similar to the one that goes around Talmberg Castle, right? So you can see some of the stone there, but most of it's rendered. Now, another thing is that with the size restriction, the problem here is that the walls, the outer walls of Talmberg Castle, the two that flank, well actually three, both these sides and then that front one, are actually extremely thin. The problem with that is that there is a limitation on the thickness, or in this case the thinness of the wall, and that is it. So we're at it. So I can't make these walls any thinner, which is also going to put a limitation. When we get to the roofs at the back, we'll be better off because, you can sort of make them fatter. You can make the walls thinner or fatter. What we're going to do, we don't want these stone jutting out. And I mean, most of this will disappear inside the round turrets at either end, but we'll just take that off. So there we go. And then we'll shorten it considerably down to its almost to its minimum level. Oh, there we go. One more tiny little trick there. Okay. Whoosh. Right, so then we're going to do the same thing, other side. Same thing at the other side. Right about there. Obviously, we'll straighten all this out. There we go. And we'll make everything level and make everything the same level so it sort of evens out. But again, as I said, these really want to be about half that thickness, but I can't make them any thinner than that. So this is why, really, something like Talmberg would have to be done on a... Oh, my God. If you right-click on this, you can't center on that, or by the way, it's there now, obviously. But if you right-click on it, you get all the sort of transformation tools, and you can turn... You see how this does that? You can actually turn it so it's the other way around. Right? Which, of course, we don't want to do. We want that right about just a tiny tick in from where it becomes like that. Right? Now, one of the problems is that there is also a length restriction on the size of these buildings. And the one we need to build now is the large rectangular building at the far end. Which is essentially the keep, really, in this castle, isn't it, in Talmberg? The roof on this end is actually a little bit more sort of... I don't even know what the word is, really. Squeezy? Squeezy, is that a word? Sure, go with it. Now, because of the length restriction of this building... Boosh, can't make it any longer. I want to make it a bit wider, though. A bit sort of thicker. But because of that, that sort of restricts us on what we can do regarding the interior of the castle once the rest of it's finished. Because it's going to mean that we're going to move that to there. Oh, that might be better. Because these sides are not so sort of... They're not sort of concave. They're much more sort of straight. And, as you'll see shortly, when we finish this, you see that digs in a little bit. There's a reason for that, which you'll see when we get to the end. So, if we start with this building as the sort of base... Then we could have tried to make sure that's in more or less the right place. So move that across a bit. Now we might have to move these a little bit at some point because at the moment I'm just moving these edges in so that just meets under the apex there. But we might have to lengthen them, we'll see, at a sort of later time. So now, if we put this... I don't know if that gate actually might be a little bit too far to one side. I think we might have wanted that a little bit. Let's rub that. Let's remove that path. Let's put the gate more sort of... here-ish. We'll see. We'll see how that works. The thing is, this wall isn't really going to function in the way that we would like it to, because the gatehouse... The problem is, there's the gatehouse and then there's the castle wall, right? And the difference between those is so slight, like the gap between them in terms of the... If you looked at a scale model, is so slight that it's going to be really difficult for us to do. We might have to move this in a bit, and you'll see why shortly. But let's put them, you know, roughly the right place to start with. Oh, that roof is a bit rubbish. Let's put in these cylindrical towers, shall we? One tower on the corner. This is the tall one that goes at this end. Right. And then another one. Look, see, that's raised off the ground, but don't worry, we'll fix that in a minute. We will fix it in a moment. Yeah, that one too. It's because it was going up the wall, but if I just click on that, look, you'll see. Look at the bottom, see? It's trying to make... So this is a great thing with Tiny Glade. You can do all sorts of wonderful things. So if I put that there, look. Oop. Oh no, that's at the maximum height in the demo, so... But what are you doing? There we go. So if I was to do that, right, and then I reduce the size of that, look, you get this little... Isn't that cute? Whoosh, and then you can make it these little super spires. Look at that little witchy kind of sticker window on it, look. Different window. So you just repeatedly click on these windows after you put them down. You can get different sorts. And it will continue if you add windows on, up to a maximum of 3 to there. Well, you can't get the little clothesline thing on the little bay window. But you can have ones that sort of stretch around, I think. If I take one of... Oh, no, that's a separate one now. Let me split those windows. Can't do it. No. It doesn't matter. Right, let's just look. That's not what we're here to do. I'm getting off track. Let's get rid of that. Oops. Let's get rid of that as well. We're at it. Because here we're going to straighten this out. So we're going to start by pulling that down to the ground. And below, you just keep going and going and going. Crunch. Right, and then we're going to reduce the sizes sort of accordingly. But this too needs to be way down there. Right. Now these are quite large little cylindrical structures. See? That's a little bit more like it. But of course, these are quite a bit taller, but they've got shorter sort of roofs. The roofs aren't quite as pointy as that. They're a little bit less. And depending on what images you look at that have been created of Talmberg Castle, as it appears in KCD, at least, since the game released, will depend on, in some of them you can see these actually they are slightly convex. These little structures. Not that much, not like beehives, but like they're not this kind of business. They're ever so slightly, like just the tiniest hint. Right? So then this one, we've got to also reduce the size of. There we go. See, we're getting there already. You get the basic sort of shape of Talmberg Castle. Right, so you got all the one taller than the other. Now, of course, there's a sort of wooden clad, I don't know, forgive me for not knowing the architectural... You know what you want doing this? You want Danny at ESO, you want him doing this, because if I remember correctly, I believe Danny studied to be an architect, but I can't remember. So you want him doing this, because he'd know all the correct architectural terms. You know, I know some of them, like, you know, these are like your, what are these, Merlons they're called, aren't they, but... Huh? Oh my god, now I've got that. It won't... Yeah, see, now the roof won't work. There we go. Don't know why it's giving me grief today. Right. So that's what we've got there, but we can't make this. These walls, as I said, are considerably thinner than that. But we can't make them any thinner because this is the sort of minimum width of these things. So we can't make them any thinner than that. And that creates a problem particularly here, because here what you've got is the outer wall, and then there's the tiniest little gap, and then you've got the covered gatehouse, which is here. But the wall still forms the outermost layer. So we're probably not going to get that, to be honest. It's probably going to look slightly different, because if we put this here, I mean, that's ridiculous, but let's... Oh, I can't because it's too... Just there. No! There. There we go. Now we'll do it. Let's move that in. Right, because if we go right up to the gate like that... I mean, we've got to take that down to the floor first. See? Oh, this is another thing. It'll put these little things... Right, you can... I mean, you can't do it with that, but... There is another reason why, which I'll show you shortly. But now, see what I'm talking about? There's a slight gap between this roof and the roof of this little covered gatehouse, right? And the gatehouse has a slightly different roof as well, as you'll see. Let's get rid of that. So the gatehouse roof is sort of much more like that. And quite a bit taller in relation to the structure itself. That needs going down there. Right, if you look at Talmberg Castle. But it's not quite this wide, so if we do that, and then the same on the other side. Oop, there it is. Give me the... Right, there's a little bit like that. Obviously, these are like terracotta, and the only other colour that is available for these at the moment is green. And I've sort of tweaked... I've gone between these two to decide which is the better colour. And, you know, we can go with green, but I think the terracotta one's actually... There's not a lot to choose between them, really. So, here's the problem with this. So, the outer wall, the problem is that this gatehouse really should be separated slightly from the inner wall, and with a path that just goes down that side, and then raised land which comes up to about here, and then like I think there's a door on either side of this gatehouse, right? Which we can't have because, well, we could possibly by extending this front wall. I guess we can probably try that. Now we can kind of position the gatehouse and then maybe move the wall. It won't look 100% right, obviously, but as I said, we're in Tiny Glade, so it's not going to... Out of the way, sheep. Don't make me fly. I'm going to make you fly. Can you fly, Bobby? Look at that, he can. Woo! Go, sheep, go. How high we can make that sheep fly. I have no idea. Right, so let's try to maintain this gap between these. Right, so there we go. Now we've sort of mended the wall, and we've got the gatehouse, which comes right to the end. But, as I said, there is no... There's a way, which I'll show you shortly, in which you can make... Is that all the way into the ground? I guess we could have had... I wonder if that's what I did before. Maybe I made a wall with that on the top. Maybe that's what I did. Maybe that's what I did. It's possible I did that. That could be a thing. Let's see. Let's see what we can do. I can't remember what I did on the last one, right? But the thing is that it does have these kind of weird, these shutter-like things. Although I don't know if that'll work, because there's not going to be enough room for like a door once I've raised that land at that side. I don't think. Possibly. I don't know. Because the thing is, what you've got on this side is that the land is raised, but it's raised quite high. We'll then raise the wall afterwards, and then you put one of these, which once you've put in a we can't put these damn things down, look, because it's there we go. Once you've put in, let's just drop it there. So once you've put in some floor land at this side, some paved, we make like a floor, right? Which we will eventually do anyway. Carry it all the way down. Then we'll put that, and we'll say that that's where it's sort of raised to. We'll take that to there. Right? We can... There we go. It sort of works. Yeah, it's going to ugly up a little bit at the front there, but... Right, but what you can do now, you see, once you've got a building that goes against a stone floor, if you put a window next to a stone floor, instead of a window, it becomes a door. Or it would, if I had given it enough room to do that, but I haven't. Right, there you go, see? It becomes a door. And there is a door on this side, like that. Oh, I'd have to extend that further in, I think. Yeah, let's extend that further in so we don't get that weird effect with the door. There we go. So we can put that there now. And what you can do with the doors is you can kind of look, you can make that a little bit bigger, or you can actually make it a double door, but that's not what we want. In fact, we don't really even want it that size. I mean, that's... Hey, look at that. Health and safety are going to give this fella a kicking, whoever put that there. What a stupid place. I mean, alright, there's no path that goes around yet, but... Look, there's a plan to all of this, right? There's a plan. Just, let's chill out, and we can talk about the plan. Right, now here, because the wall's curved, we're going to have to try to do this bit that goes around the corner here, which there is. You know, there's another level here, and it comes down, and then I think it comes down to about here. Let me look at my... I've got images. I've got images of the castle here. Now, you know, there are little things we can't do. There's a little ladder that goes up here, or a little wooden staircase, which we can't really do because it'll have to be, you know, steps that we make, like, you know, the way we make them. Through the floor to there. Oh man, I can't make that any lower. That's weird. So, you see what I'm talking about? It's going to look strange anyway, regardless of what we do. Get down. Get down. Let's try moving that so that it's... Now, this is difficult. See, now, getting this so that it's protruding the least amount without... You know, because we don't want it protruding too much through the wall there. But at the same time... Oh, it's going to look weird no matter what I do, isn't it? It's just going to look bizarre. I wonder if I can... Let's try putting another building here. Making this the floor for this bit. Boosh. You see, this is what's legging me up here is this with the, you know, with the door. I don't think we're going to be able to have that door there because I think this land is going to have to be higher because otherwise we're not going to get any step down at all. From, you see, we've got another step up and around. And it's not lined up right anyway. Yeah, see? We need those steps to be higher, because that is the last one, I think. After that, we actually can probably do the... Oh, probably not with that one, though. There we go. See? There we got the steps. They go up there. And we can make... You've got to be really careful how close you go to the wall, because if you go too close, you're going to end up with a door. Like that, which we don't want. Not there, anyway. Not that sort of door. Now, there is going to be more wall here in a minute, but you'll see why. I'll show you why when we get there. You'll see why when you see why. We'll do the windows and things when we've done, but let's just see if we can actually get this gatehouse right. Let's see how much we can raise this. Oh, actually, once I've put the door in, I guess I can raise it more. I can raise it a bit more once the door is there. It's just going to look like a weird sort of short-ass door, which is a bit strange. Now, there we go. That's how we do that. We put a path underneath, which makes more of a step. And then, if we can raise that slightly, so that we've got a little bit more of a step there. Does it step twice? I think it steps twice. One there and one on the corner like that. So, you know, again, it's not going to look exactly right, because it's just basically dirt with stone steps cut into it as it goes around Talmberg Castle, which is not what we've got, but we're doing the best we can with the tools that we have, aren't we? That's all anyone can really ask for. Now, what I thought about doing here earlier was when I was thinking about the whole bit. Yeah, see, I can't do that now because I've got a door in. I can't lift that up because the door, you know, disappears and everything. Right? And what I was going to do is lift it up and then put a wall here. And the reason I was going to do that is, let me show you. The reason I was going to do that is because if I put a wall there, what I can do is make an archway, which is actually what can be seen at the Talmberg Gatehouse. Right? Then, additionally, I can kind of make this bit a different colour than that bit, which at least gives the impression of the, you know, the wood, if you like, which we don't have. We don't have any wood, but we can, like, make it stone, or, you know, that's the render. Or we can make it stone, or we can make it like this. But that's really the closest, with the tools that we've currently available in the demo of Tiny Glade, that's the best that we can do, right? But then we lose that door. Where we've put this foundation here, we get this weird thing where it goes, you don't need a wall there, because there's like little crenellations and merlons on the edge of this little section, which, you know, we might be able to get rid of. But then, look, then it pokes out there, which we don't really want. Oh, no, it's not great, is it? It's not great. But, you know, whatever way, it's not going to really work. So let's just undo all of that and put the gatehouse back the way it was. Well, maybe turn that a little bit. Just, refine that edge ever so slightly. Not that much. It is not very refined, sir. How dare you, sir? Because what will happen now when I try to put a path through this gatehouse is that we won't get an arch. Obviously, we won't get a drawbridge because we're out of space, so we can't have it. And there are no drawbridges in this. But we won't get a nice arch. What we'll get is a door. Watch. There we go. And it'll put this rubbish outside it, which I don't really want. But I don't think I can get rid of that. With the windows and the doors, like with this door, if I click repeatedly on that door, I can kind of change what's... Can you see this now? A little watering can and stuff. You can kind of change the ornamentation and the decoration that appears around it, and it'll cycle through different ones. But I don't think, as far as I can see, there's no way to do that here. And you can't click on the actual objects themselves, so that's what we've got. That's just going to have to serve as our archway at the front of the castle. And I mean, if you've seen inside of Talmberg Castle often enough, which of course you've played KCD, you will have done, you'll already be able to see the problems that we're going to get given with the inside here. Because there just is not going to be the room to make all the various bits and pieces that we need inside the castle. But what we should be able to do is at least raise this up and put that down to there, so that... Sorry, I want to make that as short as I can. Because, the thing is with this, you have to balance what you want and what you don't want with the tools that you've got. Like so many building things. Because, no, that doesn't look like that inside a Talmberg Castle. If I've got an image of it, I'll show you what it looks like. But if you played KCD, you'll know what it sort of looks like on the inside. But we don't have the tools or the space to be able to make everything. But we'll do the best we can in there when we get there. I'm going to try to do the raised land on the other side, and then we're going to move to doing the edges of these walls, which I'll show you shortly. The little inside the landscape elves that make everything work that you can't see in here are not going to be happy about this because it's going to look ugly as sin. But fortunately, on the outside, we won't know about that, so the elves will just have to put up with it. I mean, we don't want to end up with a door there. Look, see how it's trying to put a door there now. I mean, it's cool. We can. It's okay. It's fine. Nobody panic. Everything's fine. Is anybody panicking? Probably just me as usual, isn't it? Yeah. See, again, the steps not going to be. Oh, we don't have. Actually, on this side of Talmberg Castle, I'm just looking at that, and on this side, there isn't a noticeable step like there is on the other side. Right, so on this side it's not so much of a step. What we might have to do, because there's no step at all actually on this side of Talmberg Castle. There's no step at all until it gets to about halfway down this wall, about here. I think what we might need to do here, actually, because there's a kind of a graduation, so there is a sort of a step on this side. So I was lying to you a little bit, but if it makes you feel any better, it wasn't actual lying, it was just me being mistaken, which happens a lot. So, obviously, this does not look, there's not the dirt path that you have at Talmberg Castle going around the inside of these fortifications. But it's, you get the idea. Now, one of the things that's a little bit of a pain in the arse is that, there's a door here on the inside of Talmberg Castle, which means if I actually want that door to appear, I've got to put even more of this nonsense in. here, right? Because otherwise, I mean, I could make. I guess I could make like an arched door, right? So I can make an arched door like that, which is around the corner. Right now. It's not where it is. It's here. But I don't want that nonsense. I want a little square door, which is what a rectangular door rather. Come to Sleepless Nights, Nights Arcade, where we will learn shapes and colors together. Okay, so here, the problem is that I don't actually want that to be that tall. It's a pain. That's such a pain. Oh, I guess there is another step. There is another step on the corner. How about that? There actually is. It's, you know, I've just lucked out here, because round this side of the castle, there apparently is. There's a step here, and another, and another, and another, as it goes up, right? Okay, I mean, you know, kind of. But it's fortunate because what we need this stone here so that we can put in, so that when we put a window here, it makes a door, you see? Yeah, see now there's a tiny step, and that's cool. That's what I'm after. That's what I'm looking at. That's what we're looking at. And again, the proportions aren't going to be exact because I can't reduce the size of that door, and it comes way further up the castle. But the windows are going to be the same, unfortunately. You'll see when we make the windows, because of the space we've got, it's not really going to work. But now we got to do these bits here, right? So there are little, you know, merlons and crenellations on the inside of here, just under this roof, if you look closely at Talmberg Castle. So let's see what we can do about that. Now I've got to be careful here because I don't want it to end up making steps just because I put a footpath. It shouldn't, because this wall should be high enough that that won't be the case. But if it does, frankly, I was going to say it's not the end of the world, but that's just a lie. It's clearly the end of the world, isn't it? Oh no, see, look! You know, because I put footpath there, look, see? It's trying to put a thing in. I don't want it to put a thing in. So I feel like there should be an override, right? Where you can like hold the shift key or the control key and go, right, I want it to put the little fortifications, the little merlons and crenellations back on this wall. But it won't. We can try doing it with a wall, but I think it's going to do the same thing because it thinks there's a footpath there. If you see what I mean. I mean, it's sort of worked. And, you know, I can render it then after. It sort of did it, but not quite. That might be as good as that's going to get, I think. That might be as close as we're going to get to that effect on that side. Alright, the other side might be different, and the reason for that is because here, see, this then goes to that dirt path, because we don't have any doors, I don't think, on that side. No, we don't have any doors on that side, so it goes down to the dirt. We don't have any other floors on that side, so it goes down to the dirt path. Oh, in fact, this is still actually on the wonk, isn't it? We still haven't fixed this. So, first of all, don't ever tell anyone you just heard me say on the wonk, because I don't know what it means. I've never heard that expression before. And it's possible I just made it up. And if you're going to make up an expression, on the wonk is probably not the one you want to be remembered for, is it? So let's forget that ever happened, and let's try to put a building in here. No, see, I've got the footpath thing. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. It's possible we'll get away with it this time because we don't have that. Yeah, see, I think we're going to get away with it this time. I think we'll be all right. Look, you see what's happening there? There we go. So, oh no. Oh, look though. Just give me that wall. It's fine. I think I can fix that. I can tweak it a bit. Let's see. Yeah, you see, this is the problem with building stuff, isn't it? You always go, oh, I know how to fix that problem. And then you end up with like a whole other problem. So there, now if you look at images of Talmberg Castle, you look at this side, you'll see what I'm going for there, right? So you'll get the sort of idea, right? The problem is that, again, there's no way to make it look like these are gaps and the windows are blacked out. The only way to do it is to paint, and none of the paints really... Oh, that's the wrong wall for a start. So here you see that it darkens out those windows, those fortification points a little bit, but it's not ideal, is it? And the only other option you've got really is that, which is not going to look massively different either. But it is going to ruin the rendering on the inside of this wall because we can't make the other one, unless we make this building that it's snuggled up to even wider so that we can see the rendering on the other side of that. But we can't do that because we need every single inch of this space on that side that we can get. So unfortunately, it has to go back to being a rendered wall, which makes this look not quite so effective, but it's cool. We don't... Right, now, if you remember what I was saying about, you know, because if you look at Talmberg Castle, particularly on the towers, and then on this building here, you've got this wooden, I don't know, cladding, whatever, siding, whatever it is you want to call it, I don't know. Forgive me, I don't know the correct sort of architectural term for it. But we can't do that, and we've only got these different colours to go with. So if we assume that the orange rendering is the closest that we'll get to it looking a bit like cladding, what we can do now is we can, because it only comes so far down this wall, so it only comes about that far down, sort of to where this line is on this tower. There's none on that tower at all, and on this tower it just comes down to about there. But what we can do is we can make another tower inside that tower there, you see. Now, this gets to be a little bit tricky, because centering these is a bit of a pain in the arse, right? Getting one centered over the other is kind of difficult. And one of the best ways to do it is to try to make sure that these spoke things on the top here are sort of lined up. Look at it, it's trying to put a bird's nest. Oh man. It's trying to put a little bird's nest. Now that's... I would say that that's pretty centered. Right, but it's difficult to tell until you look at the finished product. So, oh Christ almighty. So let's see what's going to happen with it. So the first thing we need to do is to get rid of, because it doesn't need to be that tall, so it can be there. We don't want these sort of turrety bits here. So we need to reduce the thing in size until it's about like that, and then bring that down further still, bring the bottom of it... Oh no, that's a massive problem with this. It wouldn't let me do this earlier either. It was really, really, really weird. So, okay, all we can do really about that is reduce the height of the tower, because that's going to be bigger than I actually want it to be. Like the cladding on this side is going to be much bigger than I actually need it to be, which is not ideal. I could... Yeah, I can't. Because this is on... Basically, even though it's part of this wall, the game thinks that this is a separate building supported by these little stilts that you've got here, right? And the problem is, these can only be so tall. So it won't let me make this any smaller than that. Right? It just won't have it. But I mean, I guess I can reduce the size of that tower a bit. I don't know what it's going to look like in the finished thing. We'll see. Oh, I might have to be a bit taller than that, really. We'll see. Okay, but then we should be able to paint that wall to make it look a bit different from the rest of it. I mean, it's not brilliant, is it? Is it? It's not super clever. But that might change when we put a base in here, so we'll see. We'll see about that. But we can do the same thing on this thing here. Right? Because this has got the same effect. So what we need... No. So what we need to do is build another building, the same size as this one. Take the roof down. Now, if I paint this, it should give us a better idea of what's what. So if I paint that now, look. Again, you can see, so it doesn't look like wood, but it's the closest thing that we can sort of do. Because the only other option is to make it sort of stone, which, I don't know. But tell me what you think. But weirdly, that makes it kind of even worse, I think. Now, what we're going to do here is if I can push that in just the tiniest bit, now you get this on that side, and what we should be able to do is just tweak that in just a tiny bit, and then we've got that all the way round. Hey presto. Before we decorate it with windows and stuff, we're going to try and do the inside. Now, again, we can sort of do this. The problem is that if... Well, rather than trying to explain to you what the problem is, I'll just show you, shall I? I'll just show you. So, if I put a building there now, right? Because there's path all around, it's going to create doorways all over it. Look at that. See? Boing, boing, boing. And it doesn't look right. Now, that probably would look okay over here. Excuse me a moment. I'll just reduce that. There we go. So that probably would look okay over there as an archway. Oops. To sort of come through here, right? Because there is a sort of an archway there where you're entering in this inner courtyard. Stop turning. I don't want that. I want that. Thank you. Right, but now see how it's trying to put doors all over the place. So let's get rid of that. Boing. And then let's put all this grass back. And I think I've probably just undone. I went a step too far there and undid this paint, didn't I? Yeah, thought so. I got carried away with the old clickety-click. Right. So now, what we're going to do is instead of that, so that we don't run into that problem, we're going to put a floor in here. The problem being, of course, that it wants that floor to be really tall. And that, in turn, is going to restrict the height of the buildings that we can put in. So it pretty much doesn't matter what you do in this. It's going to create some sort of an issue. Oh, there's a door there, so it doesn't really matter what we do there. We can actually put that all the way over to there, and it won't make any difference at all. There we go. Actually looks almost like we meant to do that. If you know that things are going to go wrong, this is my philosophy. This has had to be my philosophy in life, really. As I've gotten older, I've realised this has sort of had to be where I come from, because I make more mistakes than the average person. So I got to a point in my life where I realised that the only way to stop myself looking foolish pretty much 24 hours a day was to make it look like it was part of the plan. So let's do that. Now this is the problem, you see? Look at this floor. We're going to end up with nothing in here because this floor is so high. It's insane. I can't make it go. I can't make it go any lower than that. I can't lower that floor any more than that, which is really, really going to restrict what we do on the inside. I suppose what we could do, although it will screw things up a little bit with this thing, we'll have to lose that, is that we could raise the height of everything, essentially, in the castle. We could basically just make absolutely everything taller. But, you know, as I say, you begin to see the problem with a lot of the things that we want to do on the inside of this castle, because we just don't have the space. That's the space we've got, and that's all we're going to get, at least in the demo. Eight-foot geraniums, but look, that's not, you know, we know we're going to have these issues. So then there's another, I think there's like a, there's a like a little thing here. And then like a stable roof, stable roof kind of affair. That again needs to come out a little bit more that way. I love that creaky kind of, come on, just stress it a little bit, but oh, too far. There we go. Let's pull that down. Oh, no. Just put that back, please. Put it back, please. Please. What? No, now it won't let me pull the damn thing at all. Wow. That sucks. Okay, and then it's the height of that. Right, and then there's a stable sort of roof that comes over here, like that. Oopsie. Do that. There we go. Right. So, and then there are some roofs that pop out from the other side, but I'm going to have to... So there's one like here, so there's an entrance, and of course here there's a bunch of wooden steps that go up, so they come up here and then they kind of go up, layering up the side of the building like that with windows and things, but obviously we can't do that either because we just don't have that kind of ability. It's possible we could get some of that, but I think scale is going to be the main issue here. It's possible we could get some of that with a sort of a balcony type effect. But like I said, scale. Scale, as I said, was always going to be a bit of an issue. So yeah, and of course these are all covered with roofs, which of course that's not going to be. Yeah, we can sort of get that, but it's It gets really squeezy in here, as you can see. Real squeezy, buddy. Real squeezy indeed. Ooh. Sort of. Say that again with confidence. Sort of. Right. Right, okay. So let's pull this down. There we go. So there, we've got sort of roof under a roof that sort of sticks out a bit. Comes up to about there. So, you know, I mean, you start to get the idea, sort of the... Oh, crap. Of the sort of things that we can do here. But it is very restrictive at this size. Okay? There's a sort of another stable roof that goes under here, but I don't honestly think we'll be able to squeeze that in, so I think that is probably the best we're going to get. But now what we can do is put a bunch of windows and stuff in. Can we shorten that roof a bit? It's a bit tall. There we go. I think we might have to lose this sort of business here. It's not really going to work, I don't think. And this actually should be... Oh, that's insane. Let's not get too... We're getting too carried away there. But we should... No. Not what I wanted to do. Give me this thing. There we go. Because the inside of that's like there. But again, this is a problem that's caused by the fact that these walls are way thicker than they should be. So there's not a lot that we can do about that. If we do that, it's just going to look all wrong, isn't it? All kinds of wrong. I think we have to just put it back the way it was, really. Okay. And I mean, even there, it looks a bit too large. So consulting my images tells me that there's a window sort of there-ish. A great deal smaller than the one that we're about to put on. And without a flower box on it. Doesn't say heavily fortified castle, does it? Don't mess with us and our flowers. And then another one kind of above the apex of this roof, around about sort of there, I guess. Let's get rid of the washing line. I'll put that there. Any more on that side? There's one. Okay, what if I do all the things I can see from certain angles and then flick to my little reference images? So there's another one. There's one of these things with a little window back there. And there's another one right about there. Get off. And I don't think there's going to be a lot we can do about this nonsense. There we go. We can put a little window in there, which looks kind of like a sort of opening, maybe. I mean, apart from anything else, these are leaded window. This is not, you know. There's all sorts wrong with this. That's not going to be fixed by me reducing the size of the windows a little bit. But let's continue with our little window placement. This, by the way, has some sort of weird buttress thing here, but only like on one side, which is really kind of strange. Which we can sort of make. I think that we could do it with a wall. So we could try it with a bit of wall, which would go this way. And then there, like that, right? So we could do it with a bit of wall, like that. That's not too bad, is it? And it is differently coloured than the rest of it, but not more like sort of that. And for some reason, it only has that on one corner. And I don't think it comes up that high either. Let's get rid of that. You know, the more I'm talking myself out of this idea, more and more time goes on. Let's try drawing it in 2 sections. No, I don't want it to snap. Has that done it? Is that better, you think? Oh, now I've done it. Now I've done it in 2 sections, so I can kind of reduce both. Now I should still be able to paint that. Okay, yeah, that's cool. So now let's do with these windows, which I don't think... Oh, we started raising these buildings, didn't we, on that side? That's right, and then I never continued. Should we put the door in? Should I try? I mean, it's massive, but what the hell? It's, you know, stupidly disproportioned, but what are you going to do? I mean, and then I think there's another window on the other side of this, about in line with that one, roughly. So, I mean, I think this is pretty good. What I do think we probably need to do is to raise the wall, the castle wall, a bit. Maybe not quite that much, but... So now there is a kind of dip here now because of the floor, you see? Which you do, you know, which is a thing. Here we go. And there we go, look at that. See? Look, Talmberg Castle. You know, I wish we could have had the little bit of wooden... facing on that side, the wooden lats, whatever its architectural name is, I don't know. And I wish, well, I wish a lot of things had gone better, to be honest, but I don't think we've done too badly, even if that tower looks massively too small now. Wait, let's reduce. Is that better? That's a little better, I think. Possibly could do with being a little bit taller. Maybe. Maybe this tower could do with being a bit taller still. Reckon. And then maybe we can put these windows, we'll move those windows up a bit. Yeah, see, there are lots and lots of things that I would like to have improved, but you know, maybe we'll do this again when the full version of Tiny Glade is released. And if there's some other castle from KCD or some other structure that you'd like me to have a go at building in Tiny Glade, let me know. Just, you know, put a thing down below. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Leave a like. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I am going to be shortly introducing channel memberships as soon as I figure out how to make them line up with Patreon, because the problem is, you know, it's like I can give you video content like behind the scenes footage of interviews and the bits that weren't seen, which I have already been sharing with my Patreon members, but if I set those to members only on YouTube, there's no way for me to link that to the Patreon. And there are all sorts of different problems with different tiers that I'm kind of looking at. But you can follow me on Patreon if you wish. I now have Instagram as well as Twitter, Facebook, and all that other business. Ring the notification bell below if you want to be notified every time I post new content. There'll be a lot more KCD2 content coming up in the next few weeks and months. But I've got a whole bunch of other ideas as well for various things to do. But that's it from me today. Until next time, from Night's Arcade, this is Sleepless Night, saying nighty-night.